Hey guys, welcome to the Captain Fizz and Mask Guy show. Today on the show, we will be discussing Ben Affleck and some theories as to why he has walked away from directing duties for the hopefully upcoming Batman movie. So I don't know what to say, so let's go to the music.
Welcome back to the Captain Fizz and Mask Guy show. I, of course, as always, am Captain Fizz.
And greetings once again from the 7th Moon of Thunder. I am that Mask Guy.
And apparently it's really hard to take me seriously. I'm talking with my hands.
You always talk with your hands.
I always talk with my hands. And for two, I am wearing my Harley Quinn onesie that is really extremely warm. I could walk outside in this. I'm not going to because it's kind of cold out. And yeah, no, it's comfy. And I bought it from HMV because HMV is closing and I got bored.
Yeah.
There's no other reason for it. So.
Yeah, you obviously spent a lot more money there than I did. I got one that was Pophead, I think a Death Trooper there, and I got a coffee mug, and even with, the discounted prices that the HMV allegedly is having, it still cost me over, $40 for that purchase. So
I've spent a little bit of money there, but generally when it comes to Harley Quinn stuff, you do tend to spend a little bit more.
And when you say we, you mean you, because I wouldn't waste my money on Harley Quinn stuff.
I bought myself a Harley Quinn figurine, which is actually pretty tall. All things considered, it's a good, foot and a half, give or take. I bought a couple, I got a Harley Quinn coffee mug as well as a Joker coffee mug, which I'm actually currently drinking out of, which is awesome. And I had the coffee out of the Harley Quinn one this morning. And then I bought my Harley Quinn onesie in a couple movies. So, all in all, it's kind of sad to see stores like that close, but it's really fitting when you look at today's topic that I am dressed as Harley Quinn because we're going to talk about Batsy.
We're talking about good old Batsy.
So it's no secret, there's no surprise to anyone that Ben Affleck is no longer directing the newest Batman movie, which I believe is just titled The Batman. Which is the lamest title you could ever think of, but at the same point it works because it uses the Batman's name as the way to sell it, right? Everything else is, The Dark Knight Rises or, Batman Begins. They always, ask some aspect of it, right? I think using just the name The Batman is so much ideology in just the name itself and how much of a popular character Batman actually is.
Well, I mean, there already is, there's been two movies that have been simply called Batman in the past. One back done in the 1960s, I think, with Adam West, and the other one, which was made in 1989, that actually I remember going to see in theaters with my best friend at the time, Doug Hill, and starring Jack Nicholson and Michael Keaton.
And from all the reports I've been seeing, of people talking about their favorite Batman movies with all the news coming out of different people talking about it, everyone actually says 1989, was by far their favorite, Batman. So that's actually, very intriguing, right? Because I think the name really enhances your opinion on, a movie.
Yeah, agreed.
It's just my opinion, and as you said, you just agree with it. But I don't know. I think the name sells it. The acting and all that is okay, but when you look at who's starring in it, you look at what characters are in it, and you look at the name of the title. Those are the three most important things you look at.
And pretty much, I mean, they kind of are very limited for how many names they can come up with. I mean, come on. I mean, and I just quickly go over. There was Batman. There was Batman Returns. There was Batman Forever. There was Batman and Robin. There was, the Dark Knight. Was it Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, The Dark Knight Rises?
See,
so it's
I think if I directed a Batman movie, I would have come up with the ultimate best name ever. Oh crap! Another Batman.
That sounds like one of those stupid, not another movies, like not another, teen movie.
It would be awesome because you go in and it's like, oh crap, it's another Batman movie, and you'll kind of understand a little bit more when we talk about our next, little bit. We're going to go into the interview that Kevin Smith did with, I don't really care who he did it with.
I don't know. I think he does a podcast. I didn't go and do a lot of details, but I believe he does a podcast. He, did a special, and it was called Fat Man and Batman, which I think is kind of an ironic title because Kevin Smith is not that overweight anymore.
Yeah, but it's kind of like him poking fun at himself, which is good. It's good to see a comedian like that doing that.
Yeah, but I mean, he went off, and of course, he's got some past history with Ben Affleck. I wouldn't necessarily say that they're really friends, but they were close at one point, I would imagine, considering the number of movies that they did do together, including quite a few of the Jay and Silent Bob features, as well as Jersey Girl, I believe, was the last time these two worked together, which I thought was actually a pretty good movie, especially since Jennifer Lopez dies, and
yeah, and I do kind of agree a little bit with Kevin Smith's ideas of why Ben Affleck is no longer directing it. At the same point, I think some of it's full of garbage.
It's just a theory because I mean we haven't really heard him say as to the reason why he walked away.
I don't think we're ever going to know. I think they claim it's a mutual thing. I think Warner Brothers was a little bit more peeved at the fact that his latest movie with them, that he was actually starring and directing and producing as well, and I believe he also wrote that one, that he actually lost them $75 million. So that's a big, money thing. And any company, as we've seen with Fox and even with Sony, they're going to hold a grudge.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, and again, as far as that goes, Batman versus Superman, or as you prefer to call it, Batman v Superman.
If you go to everything that that they put out, the posters and all that, it's always been Batman v Superman. Anything different, and I believe you have a brain aneurysm.
But I go off and I look at this. I mean, how could a movie that's made billions of dollars go off and be considered to be a failure? I mean, this movie.
See, the movie that lost $75 million wasn't the Batman. It was a completely different movie that he recently did, and I believe the biggest reason why it flopped and all that was because his time was so constricted between all these different things that. I've never agreed with anybody directing, producing, and starring in it, because it takes so much focus to direct it, and it's really hard to direct yourself, especially.
And yet, he was very successful. I mean, we're talking about a guy who's won Oscars and won countless directing awards for I can't think of what the name of the movie is. Off the top of my head, which kind of sucks. I can't think of it now. I am going to feel so bad because about 10 seconds after we go off the air, it's going to just jump into my head. But I mean, that one that he won all the awards for.
That one. That one. I'm not really upset with the fact of him not directing. My biggest thing is, when he first was announced that he was starring in, Batman v Superman, my first thought, oh crap, we're going to start all over again with a brand new, actor for Batman. It's going to be a flop, and, he's not the right fit. I take a lot of that back. I believe he actually played a very perfect Batman. My problem being is he needs to spend more time being Batman and less time directing everybody else. So I think this is a good move. no matter how what led to it or any of that. I believe this is actually going to be good for Batman, good for the Batman, and good for Justice League.
I think it's just going to be good for Ben Affleck. Period. I mean, just the amount of work that went to go off into doing Argo. I think the name of that movie was. I think it was called Argo.
Yes.
And just the amount of work that went behind that, because again, there was a movie that he was a producer for, that he went off and directed for, and shame on the Academy for not nominating him for that movie, because he won pretty much every other directing award there was that year, which just proves just how stupid and how worthless the Academy Awards really are. But I mean, he did so much stuff. I mean, and won so many awards, and he was so big on that. But I mean, that was like a huge undertaking for him to go off and to do. And I can't imagine, here is a movie that is going to be held under a microscope. It seems that ever since Marvel has decided, and they're this new, or not Marvel, pardon me, DC here, not Marvel. DC, ever since they went off and decided to go full blown into their, DC, cinematic universe, that they have really went off, and everything has been, kind of been under a microscope. Man of Steel was held under a microscope, and that movie was chewed to bits, and it made money. Batman v Superman was, chewed to bits. But it made money.
There was considerable flaws in that movie.
I mean, that movie was way too long, and they tried to accomplish way too much.
Yes, I do want to actually give one of the quotes that Kevin Smith did during his little rant. This is one of the less swear-worthy rants of his. If anyone knows of Kevin Smith or listens to it, you know for a fact that this guy is very tyrant-ridden. That's why, personally, I love listening to him speak. So this is kind of what he's saying. Like, let's talk about why would this happen? I don't know. I haven't spoken to him in years, but here's my take on it. Here's the hot take. What's the upshot? Seriously, everybody wants that to be the greatest Batman movie ever made. And in many cases, maybe the greatest Batman movie ever made has been made, called The Dark Knight. We don't disagree on that.
No arguments.
It's a pretty, wonderful film. If that's your bar for a Batman standalone, Chris Nolan couldn't even measure up to himself with The Dark Knight Rises. I liked it, but it wasn't received nearly as well. Let's be honest like that. The Joker portrayal is for the ages. And that is the big thing. Something that we haven't really touched on, especially in this show, is it's not just the Batman that makes the Batman movies. It's the villains in the movie. If you do not have a villain that stands up even close to Batman, you're not going to have a really awesome, well-liked Batman movie.
Absolutely not. I mean, and as he goes on in there, he kind of thinks that maybe Ben Affleck is of the opinion, why should he bother? Because everyone's going to go off and going to be comparing this Batman movie to, The Dark Knight. And who wants to go off and have that sort of pressure on it? At least if he simply steps back and just plays Batman, he can go off and he can just say, hey, I'm just acting in this. And, kind of, sell a lot of the flack, won't, and try to escape a lot of flack, because I'll just go in and briefly, this is being taken from a couple of interviews he did. He did an interview with Jimmy Kimmel, and he says, it's one of those things that's really frustrating. With Live by Night, it took me 1.5 years to write and get ready. I worked really hard, and it's just nobody gives a crap. But with Batman, I keep getting, where's the effing Batman script? I'm like, whoa, I'm working. Give me a second. And then from another interview, he went off and talks about it, and he says, it's like every time I mention Batman, it gets this huge clickbait. When I was doing this movie, it took me 2 years to get together, but nobody ever asked me, where's Live by Night, They asked me, Batman's coming along, it's going to be great. We're going to do something really special. We're going to take the time to make it right. We're doing it good. And it really feels, just from those interviews alone, that he was really feeling a lot of stress. This might be the project that has been the most